You're listening to Feel Good Astrology with Louisa Munson. To request a personal reading with Louisa, go to www.feelgoodastrology.com.
Hi, it's Louisa Munson from Feel Good Astrology, and this is part 4 of our Moving Home series. Now, in the last 3 parts, I've had a look at forensic astrology, looking back at the last time 3 different people have moved house and how you can see a house move within the charts of people. So part 1, I looked at my recent house move. In part 2, I looked at my husband's house move, because obviously if I was moving house, he was moving house with me, and I wanted to show that astrology bears out. When you're in a partnership, if one of you moves, it's reflected in the other's charts as well. The third video that I created, the third part of this series, I was looking at one of my patrons who started building a house and also moved in. So I had both of those dates, and so we looked at the forensic astrology of that. And now we're having a look at another client who patron who I'm calling J.R. Ewing, and J.R. Ewing's chart is in front of me right now. And if we just start at the beginning, in each of these episodes, I've had a look at the 4th house as my first port of call. Now, J.R. Ewing's 4th house, the IC, which is the start of the 4th house, is in the sign of Gemini, which shows quite a mercurial and fun kind of approach to homes. Somebody who likes a little bit of variety and doesn't like to be too stuck in a corner. I would imagine that this person, especially with the Aquarian rising, that this person likes a bit of variety within the home and will probably change the features and the use of the home quite a bit. And it's also got to be a home where this person can entertain and chat into the wee hours with lots of different people, because for this person, the home is somewhere where they can indulge in their interests. So it's probably got quite a few books and online courses and all sorts of different things that are going on to do with learning and socialising. So Mercury is the ruling planet of the 4th house. And a bit like in Tom's chart in part 3, when I said the moon, is the ruling planet of the 4th house in Tom's chart, but the moon moves so fast that it's not necessarily going to show up in any real significant way. It's the same with Mercury. Mercury changes signs pretty much every month. And sometimes it goes retrograde and then it goes forward again, and that can symbolise times when things get a bit tricky or things might change. So I would imagine, having a Mercury ruler of the 4th house, that this person, J.R. Ewing, experiences quite a few changes. Like, for instance, if they're buying a home or moving home, things are subject to change if Mercury just suddenly changes direction. So these guys are more affected by Mercury retrograde than anyone else, I would say, because whenever Mercury goes retrograde, it affects their home. And of course, from our home comes all of our childhood experiences, and some of our key behaviours are obviously developed from our early childhood. So there's a lot of themes going on there. Mercury is obviously very important to look at. Uranus, as ever, is an important planet to look at, because it symbolises change and a great new adventure and disruption. And the kind of ripping up of roots and creating new roots somewhere else. And also because this person's, JR's ascendant is also in the sign of Aquarius, it means that Uranus is the ruler of the ascendant, which makes it a very important planet for this person. So that Uranus is there. And you can see that Uranus is also in quite a few aspects to different planets and asteroids and points. So for instance, it's in a trine to the midheaven, which is to do with achievements and things. So this person has quite a lucky way of finding themselves in the limelight, or finding a way of achieving their goals. They have quite unusual goals at that. But their Uranus is also in opposition to the asteroid house, which in itself shows quite a few reversals when it comes to houses, and frequent moves around. So if you think the ruler of the chart is Uranus, to do with sudden changes, etc., and the fact that Uranus is in opposition to the house, it shows that, the house is in the first house. So the first house, and we're talking about house, sorry. The first house is to do with our identity and how we're seen. So this person's house will usually reflect how this person chooses to live. But Uranus throws a spanner in the works and kind of forces little moves. And it's quite interesting, really. So we need to pay attention to that. Uranus is also in an opposition to Chiron, the planet of pain and childhood wounds. So that might also force changes. So this person might end up moving house at a time when there's a bit of a recurrence of childhood wounds. It might say, time to move on, let's move and find a new base. So there's a few different themes going on here. So what I'm going to do, just like I did with the other charts, is I'm going to bring up the transits at the time of the last move to see what's going on. And I've already put in these dates, so you don't need to see me go from screen to screen. I know that JR moved on the 5th of December 2017. So let's see what was going on. Now, nothing meaningful going on in the 4th house. So that's the first thing you'd look for. If I was reading JR's chart, I'd say, ooh, okay, it doesn't look like there's much going on in the 4th house. But the 4th house ruler, Mercury, has got Chiron going over it. Now, let's look at Chiron's exact position. It's 24 degrees Pisces. And look, Mercury is at 24 degrees. So there's definitely something going on at the time of JR's move, because the planet that represents the 4th house is being aspected by Chiron. And if you just remember, just a moment ago, I was saying that the planet to do with moving and to do with this person, JR's ascendant, is Uranus, and Uranus is in an opposition to Chiron. And I said that possibly these moves come because of emotional disturbances. So having Chiron, the childhood wound planet, the planet to do with revealing our wounds to ourselves and possibly overcoming them, but being mindful of them. Chiron was going exactly over Mercury at the time that this person moved house. So when they moved house in December, I would suggest this was quite a sensitive time for them, and it possibly revisited the childhood, brought back a lot of memories. And funny enough, Mercury does represent our childhood anyway, because Mercury's a very mercurial, very young, juvenile planet, and it's innocent and fun and a bit slapdash. So there is a childhood wounding over the planet of child, which is also the ruler of Gemini, the 4th house. So that's a huge indication of something disruptive going on. Second thing that I notice, now I've not really spoken about the North Node very much, but the North Node, represented by this symbol, represents our karmic path. Now in JR's chart, this karmic path is at 24 degrees Virgo in the 8th house to do with transformation. So this person is on a transformation path and has been all their life. And wherever they've gone, they've been led towards transformation, whether it's healing, which is a theme in the 4th house, and it's the 8th house, and it's also a theme of Virgos. And this person's now, this person's North Node is at 24 degrees Virgo and is in an exact opposition to Mercury at 24 degrees. So when I said that Chiron was actually impacting Mercury and bringing up the past, we've got an extra indication of this, because the North Node is always opposite the South Node. Now, the South Node is never printed on your birth chart, but astrologers just know that the North Node shows the karma that you're going to and towards, and the South Node represents our past lives or our childhood and the karma that we're moving away from. So we've got a double indication of childhood wounding from Mercury, childhood, and a past life. So JR is moving on a day when there's 3 things going on to do with the past. So are they moving back home? Are they moving to a place that they're really familiar with? Because there's indications of childhood hurt or sore points or awareness of the past coming back. That's 3 really big indications. But the North Node, the actual transiting North Node, as the North Node moves through the zodiac, is right on Uranus, which is the planet to do with moving and disruption. So again, this is showing a huge change. I think that's quite a good demonstration of forensic astrology, actually. Jupiter has literally just gone over Neptune. Sorry, I'm losing my words. Jupiter's just passed Neptune by 2 degrees. Now, it's interesting. Jupiter in Scorpio, I wrote a couple of blogs about this. Jupiter is a sign of expansion, and Scorpio is the sign to do with transformation, but also brings up emotional situations and expands on them. Now, JR, having Neptune, the planet to do with illusions, delusions, fantasies, confusion, Jupiter that is expanding the emotions, and has just very recently, 2 months before, roughly, when it was over Neptune, possibly even a month, because Jupiter can move a bit fast, but Jupiter would have been expanding on the confusion, the emotional confusion and etc. that JR would have been feeling. So that's interesting in itself. Asteroid house, let's just see what degree asteroid house is at. 24 degrees Scorpio. Well, that's also interesting, because house is 24 degrees Scorpio. The North Node is at 24 degrees Virgo. Chiron and Mercury are at 24 degrees Pisces. Now, what this means is house is exactly 120 degrees away from Mercury and Chiron. That's known as a trine, a transiting trine to this point, and is 60 degrees away from the North Node. And 60 degree angles are known as sextiles. Now, both sextiles and trines are easy flowing energies. So house is in an easy flowing energy, just linking those up. So I think this is a really, really good demonstration of somebody moving house. And there are probably more things as well, like Saturn going over Jupiter and Mercury going over Jupiter. I'm going to say that this house move was quite a big one. Definitely quite a big one. Now, funnily enough, when JR contacted me and said, I moved on the 5th of December, JR also said that I suggested that they might be moving in May 2018. So I'm just going to see why I might have said that. I have a funny feeling it was because their progressed chart was just about to change. Their progressed moon might have been about to change signs. So let's go to May 2018. And first of all, just look at the transits. So I'm going back to the same chart. I'm just going to bring up the transits for May 2018. Yeah, there's nothing significant going on there with the transits. I suspect it's because of the progressed chart that I'd have been looking at when I was reading JR's, doing a consultation for JR. Now, I've gone into chart type here, and you'll see there's dozens of different charts that astrologers can use. And not just astrologers, anyone that uses Astrodienst can use that. But one thing that I like to look at is the progressed chart, because the progressed moon indicates change for us. And when the progressed moon changes signs or changes houses, it usually indicates something big going on. And as you can see, in May 2018, the progressed moon is changing signs from Aries into Taurus. It's exactly 0 degrees, and it's soon to be catching up with the sun, creating what's known as a bit of a kind of a new moon in this person's life. So I can see why I said it's a possible time for a move. I can't remember the exact consultation that I was giving JR, but suffice to say, May 2018 really represents the start of something new, and a new focus. But really, and it's also opposite the vertex, which represents what the universe is asking from us. So there is some kind of new sense of purpose going on from May onwards, but that might just be an ongoing project, because as the progressed moon touches onto the sun about 5 months later, so this is yet to come to pass, there's a project building and a new sense of awareness about themselves. So that's something new. I can see that it could herald a move, but actually when forensically we go back to JR's chart, hang on, let's go back to their natal chart. If we were to transpose JR's progressed moon from May 2018 onto this chart, it would be occurring here. The progressed moon would be going from here to there. It's in the second house into the third house. This is just showing, I think, new projects. It's actually still in the second house, and it will go into the third house. So there's new projects going on. But I guess having looked at Mercury, which is opposite the North Node, and the position of Uranus, I think we've got it down. That's a really stunning example, actually, of a house move. Anyway, hope that was interesting, seeing how an astrologer might look forensically for things, and it gives you a clue as to the sort of procedures we look at. Whatever we're looking at, if we're looking at something to do with love, we'd look at the 7th house and the ruler of the 7th house. So in this case, if the 7th house is ruled by Leo, we'd be looking at the position of the sun and the quality of it. But that's kind of how we investigate things, and sometimes we use asteroids like Asteroid House, which came up in this reading. Anyway, I hope that's interesting, and drop me a line if you want to learn any more.
You've been listening to Feel Good Astrology with Louisa Munson, and this recording has been made possible by all you lovely supporters at Patreon. To request a personal reading with Louisa, go to www.feelgoodastrology.com.